The joy of his life these days is his newborn baby boy. This new son has helped to ease Kenny's grief at not seeing his older boy by his first marriage. He blames this loss on success. And what a success for the 43-year-old multi-millionaire king of country pop. It's hard to believe that 6 years ago, at age 37, he was flat broke.
We can share each other's trouble, but we can love each other double. Heart to heart, we can make it if we try. Well, everybody clap heart to heart, we can make, come on, make it, come on. Heart to heart, we can make it just by saying what we feel. We can share each other's trouble, but we can love each other double. Heart to heart, we can make it. Heart to heart.
Now his first feature film has just been released. Kenny Rogers as a race car driver in six-pack.
She does, huh?
What do you think? Give us a chance to get this car going? Please? Please?
Please?
Please?
Please? Please? I can give you pit signals like old times.
Last week's old times? Look, guys, if I do this, it's under one condition. Nobody touches another driver's car. I want no five-finger discounts, understand?
It's easy. No problem.
All this has brought him a fantastic mansion in Los Angeles, which he and his wife, Marianne, rebuilt with a pool, tennis court, and a well-stocked fish pond.
I happen to love the fish pond. You'll find people who normally would have nothing to talk about standing around this fish pond talking, who become good friends because they now have something in common. My entire house growing up was the size of what we call now the loggia area, with the bay window, and I love marble. And so I said, let's do something that I've never seen done before. Let's put green onyx on the floor in here. So we have this 1,500 square foot room with green onyx on the floor. 5 years ago, I was in a $300 a month apartment in Encino, California, and did not know how I was going to pay my rent. You know, and for all of this to have happened in that short a length of time is just phenomenal. I mean, it's breathtaking for me. Marianne, I think, has the most spectacular bathroom I've ever seen. I mean, it's got green marble floors, which I would very readily slip on if I had them, and mirror everywhere. I mean, I think it's spectacular.
Kenny's bathroom is also spectacular, with its brass daybed and shower and solid gold faucets. This is the third house Kenny and Marianne have completed in their 3 years of marriage, and its 24 rooms and $7 million cost make it lavish even by Hollywood standards. The den contains only a few of the 55 music awards Kenny has gathered in just the last few years, but he still insists that his finest prize, more valuable than all of his millions, is his fourth wife, Marianne Gordon, who is a regular in the long-running television show Hee Haw.
Well, I'm supposed to feed our new French poodle, and I've been all over town looking for puppy crepes. Oh, well, no, it's not all bad.
So I think some of the happiest times that Marianne and I had together were when we had absolutely nothing. Because I realized for the first time in my life, when Marianne and I were together, that I was genuinely happy and I wasn't successful. And that's really what life was all about.
If I'd been your mother, I would have said to you, why are you marrying him? I mean, frankly, 3 marriages.
Sure,
you had 3 bad marriages. Did she?
No, she didn't, but... Well, I was more concerned with his 3 marriages than I was his financial position. But now I think that our relationship would not be nearly what it is now if it hadn't have been for those marriages.
When you sing, if I sing it, I'll ruin the song. No one will ever buy the record again. But she believes in me. I felt when I first heard it and when I knew a little bit about you, that it was absolutely the way your relationship was. Can you just say the line if you don't...
And she believes in me. God only knows just what she sees in me. I told her someday if she was my girl, I could change the world with my little songs. I was wrong, but she has faith in me, and so I'll go on trying faithfully. And who knows, maybe on some special night, if my song is right, I can find a way, find a way.
But the line where it said, if I had her as my girl, I could change the world. I mean, your story is almost too corny. If you saw it as a movie, you wouldn't believe it. The two of you meet, everything clicks, you go on stage, you're a big smash, she's beautiful, you're now successful. I mean, boring.
It's exactly, but that's true. I mean, life itself is really boring. You'd have to throw a kink in there somewhere.
And then where's the kink?
I don't know. Maybe in our 3 houses. She thinks I'm moving her to death. She swears that I have a double indemnity clause in my insurance policy that says if she dies during a move, I get
Don't ever suspect him.
You remember the old joke, I've been rich and I've been poor, and believe me, rich is better?
Oh, absolutely.
Is rich better?
Yeah, but the biggest joys that Marianne and I both have had in the last few years, and not really jewelry I've bought her or boats I've bought me, but the things we've done for my family and for her family, that to me is what it's all about.
Tell me about your family. Tell me about your father in particular.
Well, my father died 5 years ago and
did not live to see this happen.
Well, he saw the first edition success.
Yeah.
And he loved that. And he came to see me one night in Huntsville, Texas. I was working at Sam Houston State Teachers College, and there was 7,500 people. And as we were walking out to go on stage, he had been backstage with us, and he walked out in front of us, and the people started applauding for the first edition. Well, he's walking in front of us. He's saying, "Thank you very much," like it's for him. But I loved that about him. He was such a warm person.
I said, tell me about your father, and all the things you mentioned are good and sweet. But your father was an alcoholic.
To me, that was something that he dealt with on his own level, and I never saw. I think my older brother probably saw the brunt of the alcoholism. It was at a time during the Depression, which was a little prior to my birthday, and I think that my brother saw some sides of my father that I never saw. He was always great to me.
But you don't drink?
No. And I don't know whether that's, I think there's probably a chance that that's because of my father being an alcoholic. There's also a chance that when I was in junior high school, my coach, Mr. Elrod, used to tell me all the time, "Son, now if you want to be a good athlete, you can't drink and you can't smoke." So I never drank or smoked. I wasn't a good athlete, but I never drank or smoked. So.
When I read about you to do the research before, I'd seen the performances, but I hadn't read about you. And I read about your marriages, and these were things that you had told. And you talked about coming home to your first wife, by whom you had a little girl, baby. And you said, "I want to go off with the New Christy Minstrels, take her to leave it." She said, "I can't take it." And you walked out on her, and one day, you left her, and one day, I thought, I mean, that's not the man I'm talking to here.
Success was so crucially important to me. You have to remember that I came from a family of 8 children. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, the most money my father ever made in his life was like $60 a week. So I was the first person in my entire genetic background to ever graduate from high school. So I felt that a woman who wouldn't understand that what I was trying to do was really as much for her as it was for me, that I felt was really not necessarily someone that I wanted to be. We'd had other problems prior to this, too, in all honesty. But the truth of the matter is, I think it was a very hasty move, and I think I should have considered it. In retrospect, I think it was the right move professionally, but not necessarily the right move personally.
You never came back to her?
No.
And you very rarely, I would assume then, saw that little girl.
I didn't see her from the time she was 5 years old to the time she was 18, and I was working in Houston.
Kenny.
Well, I couldn't, in all fairness. It wasn't a lack of choice on my part. What happened was that they had asked me to adopt. My wife had remarried. And one of the things that you give up in adoption is the right to see the child until they're 18 years old. So when she was 18 years old, I was working at the Houston Astro World, and I saw her coming from 50 feet away. I had not seen her since she was 5 years old, and my dad was standing there. And I said, "My God, that's Carol coming here." And I saw her, I knew her the minute I saw her.
What did you do?
She came over, and I threw my arms around her, and I said, "You're as beautiful as I thought you would be."
And then there's a boy.
Chronologically, there was a screw-up in there, which I will need to straighten out. Otherwise, none of this is going to tie together. But the wife that you're talking about, that I left to go to California, was with the son. That at the time, I didn't see any point in
the first wife was the wife
with the daughter.
Was the daughter.
And we just separated
Okay.
for other than...
Right. Oh, I see. And the wife that you moved away from,
Right.
that's
with the son.
That's with the son, who is
Right.
now what?
He's 17 now.
Did you
Will be
see
this
him
month.
over the years?
I saw him until he was about 12 years old, and
You were lived with him.
I lived with him until he was 12 years old. But since we've separated, I have not had a particularly good relationship with him or with my ex-wife, which I never fully understood. I mean, my understanding was when we went to court and she got what I felt was everything, that was going to be a token, a gesture, and that we would be able to have this relationship. And
You know, I didn't expect you to say all this. You're so honest that I almost feel funny. You know?
Well, I mean, I have always been a believer that people who want to know will find out anyhow. And the minute I start hiding it, someone's going to make more out of it than it is, you know. And
So you haven't seen this little boy really in 5 years?
No, I haven't.
That must be very painful.
That's very tough on me because I raised him until the time he was 12 years old, and I cared. And to me, he really represents an awful lot. He's a brilliant child and a great sense of humor and a super kid. And I miss this particular time in his life when I think more than ever he needs a father image. I mean, obviously, I can't live with him and be with him, but I would like to be there if he needed me, and I feel that I don't even really have that. I mean, technically and theoretically, I could take him to court and try and establish a legal right to see the child, but I was told by his grandmother that it was very upsetting to him the last time we went to court. So you have to make value decisions based on whether it's for my ego to see him and spend time with him, or whether it's more disruptive for me to create the legal entanglements that are involved in doing that. So I've decided to wait and let him come to me when he comes to the age, and I think he knows that I love him very much, and I would like to see.
Maybe he'll hear this.
I hope so.
The whole time we've been talking, you have never mentioned your career.
I've never had a driving ambition. I've enjoyed different things that I've done. I don't know why it's not more important to me. I think
To have your own life.
Yeah, I felt very secure and very happy with my life before, and I don't feel that I'm recognized as just Mrs. Kenny Rogers. I feel, sometimes I will feel that certain people will be friendlier to me because of Kenny when they first meet me, but I feel like they would have liked me anyway, eventually, so it's just, you know, kind of a shortcut.
I don't know how, well, I'll just say, do you think, given your talent, that you deserve to be the star that you are?
No. Number one, I have never particularly felt I was that good a singer. And I think that I'm a pretty good entertainer. I think I'm comfortable on stage. And I think I make people feel comfortable. There are people who sing circles around me who are much better on stage than I am. I think timing is such a tremendous factor, you know, and I've always believed that. And it's kind of disarming to interviewers or reviewers when you say, I'm not a particularly good singer, because if they don't like you, what can they say? I said that myself, I beat them to it. But it's true.
I agree.
The man is not a very good singer.
When it's all over then, how would you like to be remembered?
As a good person, I mean, even professionally, as a guy who never stepped on anybody to get where he was.
12 News. More news tonight at 10.